The stone lion in front of the library suddenly came back to life. The nearby sea inexplicably frowsy over. Sharp ice spikes emerged from the beach in the scorching July summer, transforming into a sudden winter. Countless ghosts emerged from the cracks in the ground, and New York City was about to be frozen. The new generation of superpowered Daredevil squad must find a way to save the city. The superpowered Daredevil squad family. They are currently chasing a sewer dragon in Hell's Kitchen. Their youngest daughter, Phoebe, slid out of the car with a nuclear accelerator on her back, entailing the cunning sewer dragon. But its speed was too fast. Trevor's car couldn't catch up to it. Mom Cully activated a drone and successfully subdued the sewer dragon. Dad Gary was responsible for driving the whole time. The family worked together seamlessly. However, every time they caught ghosts, it would result in severe damage to the city. So, the Daredevil squad received a lecture from their superior, Mr. Murray, especially 15-year-old Phoebe. Before reaching adulthood, she cannot continue going on missions with Gary. On the other side, Dr. David, to enrich his YouTube channel content, is collecting interesting items from various places, hoping to get lucky. Can it be found among old items? The ghost that captivates the audience. One day, a muscular man in sportswear brought a mysterious metal sphere. He explained that it was something his grandmother left behind. David took out a detector to inspect the goods. The energy inside the sphere made the entire room shake. Then, the furniture started freezing rapidly. This energy even affected the whole of New York. The main roads were frozen. The ghost shelter hidden in Gary's basement is also shaking constantly. David knew he had found something good. He bought the metal sphere. Gary noticed cracks in the containment unit's walls. He called Lisa over to inspect. This containment unit had been in use since 1984. It was filled with ghosts captured from various places. Lisa said she would contact Winston's engineer as soon as possible. Meanwhile, Trevor discovered a hole in the bedroom ceiling, and a sticky substance was oozing out. He entered the attic above with his tools to find out where the goo was coming from. He discovered the attic was filled with food packaging bags. It seemed like something was hiding beneath the pile of garbage. Trevor kicked away the packaging bags. Trevor couldn't catch the green ghost in time and had to join Kelly and Gary on their mission. Only underage Phoebe couldn't participate. She didn't want to be alone at home, so she went to the nearby park to play chess. Suddenly, the chess pieces in front of her floated in the air. Then, a female ghost appeared. Phoebe continued playing chess with her. It was the first time the ghost saw someone who wasn't scared away by her. Her name is Melody. She died in a fire at the age of 16. After they finished a game of chess, Melody disappeared. The next day, Winston's engineer arrived. He discovered a major issue. The sudden energy surge that day caused cracks in the containment unit. Fortunately, the chief had a backup plan. He was a few years ago converting an aquarium into a paranormal research center. The primary mission of the center was to deal with paranormal incidents involving ghosts. The engineer excitedly showed everyone the ion separator at the research center. By placing objects with attached ghosts into this machine, the ghosts would be separated from them. In addition to this, the center also established a new ghost containment unit where various types of ghosts were held, available for scientific observation and research. It's like a large ghost zoo, and Gary's family's mission is to relocate the ghosts from the basement. David also brought the metal sphere. He wanted to separate the ghosts inside. That evening, Gary received another alarm. He went out with Kelly and Trevor, leaving Phoebe alone at home. As soon as Gary's car left, Phoebe received an alarm call too. She contacted her friend Xiaobao. The two of them quietly set out with their equipment. Phoebe arrived at the fast food restaurant where the alarm was triggered. To her surprise, she found the ghost the manager wanted to catch, and it turned out to be Melody. Phoebe hesitated and didn't want to take action, but the next moment, Melody escaped through the window. Phoebe then regained her composure and fired the accelerator. However, the ghost had already disappeared. Disheartened, Phoebe returned home. Melody floated outside her bedroom window and apologized. Phoebe, who had no friends, soon began to confide in Melody without hesitation, and even took her on a tour of the ghost catching base. While they were engrossed in their conversation, Phoebe's mother, Kelly, had already returned home. Melody immediately disappeared. Meanwhile, the engineer and his assistant Max were separating the ghosts from the items one by one. It was the metal sphere's turn. After the engineer pressed the button, the energy inside the sphere started to stir. The entire research center was affected. The captured ghosts almost escaped. Fortunately, the engineer promptly shut down the device. He opened the glass door to retrieve the metal sphere. His entire palm frowncy. This powerful cold wave kept spreading, reaching all the way to Melody's feet, and she was even having a conversation with the ghost inside the sphere. It seemed that this Melody had ulterior motives for getting close to Phoebe. On the other hand, Trevor hadn't given up yet. He was determined to catch the attic ghost. The attic ghost loved snacks, so Trevor set up a trap with cookies to lure it out. As expected, the attic ghost couldn't resist the temptation. It came out and started snacking. Trevor was fully focused, waiting for the right moment. Just when he was about to succeed, the whole house started shaking violently. Trevor, hiding behind the wall, was exposed. Meanwhile, Kelly woke Phoebe up and asked her to quickly go to the basement for help. A big hole was torn in the wall of the containment facility, with a layer of ice inside. Gary's family rushed to the research center for assistance. Only then did he know the strangeness in the shelter is related to the metal ball. This strange sphere not only freezes things, but also has some kind of psychic control to command other ghosts. While they were discussing, one of the containment rooms was frowned and damaged. A small ghost ran out. It was called the Possessor. Its ability was to possess any object. Trevor, in order to find out the origin of the metal sphere, he and Max and others went to the house of the muscular man in a tracksuit. Trevor lead and claimed that he wanted to buy a few collectibles. The muscular man opened a secret door behind the spice cabinet, and inside there was a secret chamber. The walls were made of intricately carved brass, and it was filled with valuable collectibles, including an object resembling a horned animal. Max scanned around with a detector. He discovered the muscular man had a strange energy around him. It seemed they needed to capture and study this person. Max and the engineer soon realized whenever the muscular man got angry, the laboratory's flamethrower would automatically ignite, and the angrier he got, the stronger the flames became. On the other hand, Little Bao was inspecting the video of the metal sphere controlling the ghost experiment. He discovered they seemed to be conversing in an ancient language, but the doctor and Phoebe couldn't understand which language it was. So, the three of them went to a nearby library to seek help from experts for identification. They found out it was a form of Sanskrit from the ancient Sumerian era. In the world, only a very few people can understand this language. The doctor took out a photo of the metal sphere. He asked the old administrator, "Do you recognize the pattern above?" The old librarian seemed to remember something. The old librarian led the three of them to the underground archives, where the true historical treasures were stored. Not open to the public, he took out a book and opened it, and flipped to a set of stone carvings. The metal sphere was depicted in one corner of the carvings. The old librarian indicated, according to folklore, that sphere is a magical prison, imprisoning a mythical deity named Galaka. Around 4,000 years ago, Galaka served a bloodthirsty king, assisting in the conquest of half of Central Asia. The king feared Galaka's power, so he captured him and removed Galaka's horns. The king's move completely angered the phantom god. He formed an undead army, launching an attack on the entire human world. Wherever Galaka went, everything frowned, until a fire master appeared. He trapped Galaka with brass and flames, locking him inside the metal sphere. The ghost inside that sphere is the mythical deity Galaka. Immediately after, the old librarian took out a suitcase, which contained valuable audio recordings. One of the tapes belonged to the Manhattan Adventurers Association. Although they claimed to be adventurers, they were actually a group of thieves stealing artifacts. These thieves had previously stolen artifacts related to Galaka. As a result, everyone in the entire room frowned to death in mid-July. In the audio recording, apart from English, there was also that ancient form of Sanskrit. As the few individuals listened attentively, the possessor hidden in their luggage took the opportunity to jump into the audio tape. The audio was disrupted and began to malfunction. The four of them quickly chased after the garbage bag and ran outside. The occupier ran away frantically in the library. In the eyes of the guests, it appeared as a black garbage bag jumping around. Phoebe and the others chased it all the way outside the library. The doctor discovered the possessor at the foot of the lion statue at the entrance. The old librarian urged the doctor to touch the garbage bag. Suddenly, the lion statue turned its head. The lion statue was about to swallow David. Little Bao and Phoebe activated the nuclear accelerator. At a critical moment, the accelerator ran out of energy. The possessor escaped through the rubble. The leader of the task force reprimanded Phoebe nearby. There were children and parents everywhere near the library. I've told you 1,000 times, don't casually use the nuclear accelerator in crowded public places. In case you accidentally injure someone, the entire superpower task force would be finished. Although no one was injured this time, Mr. Murray announced the disbandment of the superpower task force and confiscated their equipment. Tomorrow morning, they will be sent for scrapping directly. Phoebe's family was very upset about this. When the group returned to the fire station base, the warehouse had already been emptied. It was Mac's first time at the fire station, so he was very curious about the underground shelter. David told him, "Your grandmother is the guardian of the metal sphere, the last line of defense against Galaka. For thousands of years, Mac's family has been guarding the metal sphere. Now, whether he accepts it or not, he has to shoulder the family's mission in order to test Mac's internal sacred flame ability." The doctor asks him to try to ignite a candle from a distance. Mac didn't believe in all of this at first, but to his surprise, the flame from the lyre actually obeyed his command. Meanwhile, the disheartened Phoebe, after being emotionally affected, went to talk to Melody. She even wanted to transform into a ghost form. Phoebe wasted no time and brought Melody to the research center. They wanted to use an ion separator to separate Phoebe's soul from her body. However, this state could only be maintained for 2 minutes. Phoebe entered the device and activated it, and her soul indeed transformed into a translucent ghost. Phoebe finally appeared by Melody's side in the same form, but the next moment she lost consciousness. It turned out that Galaka couldn't control humans, so Melody guided Phoebe to transform into a ghostly form. This provided an opportunity for Galaka. He used Phoebe's hand to regain his freedom. Unexpectedly, Mac suddenly appeared with his equipment, but a regular nuclear accelerator couldn't control Galaka at all. Instead, Max almost got Francine into a block of ice. By the time Kylie and Gary arrived at the research center, Galaka and Melody were nowhere to be found. The metal sphere that imprisoned the illusion deity also turned into a puddle of fragments, and Galaka quickly began sabotage operations. He first went to Mac's house and opened the secret room to retrieve the antlers containing his own power. Unexpectedly, this equipment was like a plug that could be inserted back into his skull, with the antlers acting as a super rooter. The entire New York is being invaded by a cold wave. The sea frenzy in the blink of an eye. Ice spikes emerged from the ground like bamboo shoots. Gary and his wife didn't blame Phoebe. The immediate priority is to stop Galaka. This demonic leader will definitely go to the shelter, recruiting all the trapped ghosts. The Ghostbusters team needs to act before Galaka, because capturing these ancient ghosts requires a large amount of brass. So Phoebe melt all brass items in a pot, then installed them into her own equipment. Meanwhile, the old Ghostbusters team heard the news and came to support. Just then, a child's bicycle suddenly rushed towards the base gate. It turned out the possessor was causing trouble. It broke open the gate directly, possessed Gary's car. The files on the table were scattered by the impact. A paper airplane floated up to the second floor. Max tentatively poked the airplane with the accelerator. The possessor took the opportunity to jump onto her equipment. The possessor aimed the nuclear accelerator at Trevor. Gary quickly pushed his son away. Unexpectedly, a burst of flames blocked the attack for the father and son. It turned out to be Mac who intervened in time. Then, Xiaobao also came to destroy the accelerator. The possessor fled into the pizza and escaped, only to be swallowed by the attic ghost. On the other side, Phoebe arrived at the basement. She saw Melody standing in front of the containment unit. In fact, Melody didn't want to harm Phoebe. Melody was helping Galaka just to see her captured family members. While the two were talking, Galaka had already arrived at the base. The cold air intensified with his arrival. Gary and the others must defend the basement. The nuclear accelerator is completely useless. At a critical moment, Mac appeared wearing ancestral armor. The most crucial moment, the lighter unexpectedly ran out of battery. Galaka no longer wasted time. He crushed the lighter, he opened the crack in the basement, and trapped Gary and the others with ice spikes. Countless ghosts escaped. The whole of New York was about to become a hellish place. Suddenly, Phoebe appeared carrying the modified nuclear accelerator. Brass indeed temporarily controlled Galaka, but that power wasn't enough. Phoebe was also about to be frozen into an ice block. Melody unexpectedly appeared. She struck a match, but took the opportunity to release sacred fire with the help of it. The flames dispersed the ice layer in the base. Phoebe activated the accelerator once again. Everyone united to trap Galaka. The old Ghostbusters team made a great effort to open the containment unit door and sealed Galaka inside the basement. The disaster finally came to an end. The Ghostbusters once again saved New York. The actors from Marvel, Stranger Things, and Young Sheldon gathered. Unfortunately, the story was too mediocre. Although the subtitle of the movie is Frozen Sea, the grand freezing scene only appeared in the last 20 minutes. The setup was indeed quite long. The moment the big boss appeared, it felt like being transported to the Harry Potter set. If you like my channel, please consider subscribing to me.